I am more inspired, so to speak, in doing that. So when I came in, I saw your vertical gardens. That is really good. I'm going to have some of the herbs
Please.
and make some herbal tea.
Karibu sana.
It's so amazing.
Yeah.
I saw that. I was like, wow, this is.
Oh, but the one here, the herb wall here at the entrance is only one of 3. I have 2 more.
Oh, really?
Plot, yeah. I have a vegetable garden and then another herb garden near the kitchen.
I should see that.
Yeah.
Because I also have another group of farmers who are doing organic farming, and I visited Real IBM. Have you heard of Real IBM?
No.
They advocate for organic farming, and they have vertical gardens.
Yep.
So in 2018, I think the law was passed that Kenya, we can now do urban farming. That means you can have a vertical garden right outside your rental, and you plant your vegetables and be able to eat those vegetables, So when I came in and I saw that, I was like, wow, this is really amazing. It's also one of the way of combating climate change.
Absolutely. Well, that's exactly it. I mean, and the vertical gardens are only part of a larger project. In a couple of weeks, this embassy will be net zero in its operation.
Wow.
We've installed solar panels. We're installing batteries, so we can produce our own power. We've built a rainwater capture system. We're recycling all the wastewater.
Wow! Right here.
Right here. I'm lucky in that the ambassador's residence and the office, the embassy itself, are on the same plot, so we can integrate the systems. So, like I said, we have solar, we have water. I've installed biodigesters to turn all my organic waste into gas with which we cook.
Here?
Yes. And we have the vertical gardens, which, oh, by the way, are hydroponic. So it's all water-based, it's not soil-based.
Yes.
And the water that we use in the hydroponic vegetable gardens is the recycled wastewater.
Wow, you're doing very well.
Yeah, we're going, like I said, the plan is to be net zero in our operations.
When did you start this?
Well, the project started germinating in my mind about 2 years ago.
Wow.
When I visited, there's a Belgian couple who own a camp in Masai Mara called Embo River Camp. It's a high-end luxury camp, and their unique selling proposition is that the camp is net zero, carbon neutral. So you walk into the camp and you do not produce carbon.
Yes.
And they have the same systems as, well, I visited there, we visited there in December 2021. And the owner showed us around the camp. And he showed us his batteries and his biodigester and his water systems and his vertical gardens. And I actually thought to myself, I can do that with my embassy too.
Yes.
And I started talking about it, and at the end of the day, the Foreign Ministry in Brussels agreed to invest the money to make that happen here at the embassy. And so we're going to be the first Belgian embassy worldwide to be net zero, and the first embassy here in Nairobi to be net zero.
I can only imagine that, because I've not had.
And I'm showing it off once it's all installed. Wow. If you hear any background noise, that's the construction going on.
I was wondering what's going on.
And we're going to show it off. Hopefully inspire others, not just embassies, but others.
Yes.
Because you see, if my Belgian compatriot who has his camp, Embo River Camp in the bush in Masai Mara,
can do it,
and an embassy here in Nairobi,
yes,
everything in between is possible as well. And it doesn't have to be the whole system. It doesn't have to be and the solar and the biodigester and the water and the vertical gardens. It can be just one of them.
Wow.
Or two. As long as you make an effort, on one part of the large, just like your small scale farmer has a whole value chain, there's various aspects and they're all different.
Yes.
And they all get supported differently.
Yes.
Well, here as well, there's 5 or 6 different sides to this, and all of them can be done at the same time, or one of them, and you're already making a contribution.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, it's easy, if we're talking about combating climate change, it's easy to say this has to come from the government. Because only the government can install geothermal, or only the government can install solar parks, which are big enough, or only the government can do wind, which is efficient enough to provide the kind of energy we're looking at to as a society to become net zero or carbon neutral.
Yes.
That's true. Only the government can do those big things. But the individual has to play his part as well.
True.
Right?
True.
And why not capture all your rainwater and use it? Why not recycle your wastewater and use it? Why not have a vertical gardens? Let's look at vertical gardens. Okay, you're talking about small scale farmers. Your grandfather probably had a 10-acre plot.
Yeah,
right?
Some land, yeah.
Which means that your father had a fraction of that.
Sure.
Because if your father had, let's say, 4 brothers, right? Then each of the boys gets 2.5 acres.
Sure.
Right?
That's true.
Now all of a sudden, what your grandfather fed his family with has been reduced to 2.5 acres.
True.
Right?
Wow.
And your father, maybe he has 4 children as well. Or now let me make it simple. 5 children as well.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So now every one of these children has what? Half an acre. So how are you going to feed the same kind of family that your grandfather fed
On
only half an acre instead of 10? You know how? Vertical gardens.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
And our vertical garden has another little twist to it. It's a hydroponic vertical garden. So the plants are embedded in volcanic pumice, in volcanic rocks. And we water them 2 minutes, 3 minutes, twice a day. That's it.
2-3 minutes.
2-3 minutes, twice a day. It goes through the rock. The water falls at the bottom of the vertical garden and gets recycled.
We should be doing this podcast right there.
My herb garden,
Yes.
which has all the herbs that I need to run my kitchen, has a 50-liter tank.
50?
50. That's all.
50 liters?
Yeah. That's all the water I need to run that thing all the time.
How long does the 50 liters take you for?
As long as it continually gets recycled. And once in a while you add some nutrients to it, and the nutrients, guess where they come from? The recycled wastewater. The microparticles in there are nutrients.
We need to scale this up.
Yeah.
You need to homesteads.
Yeah.
Homesteads.
Your whole social problem. Because it's a big social problem. The division of land. It's a big social problem. Like I said, the grandfather who had 10 acres and the grandkid now ends up with half an acre.
Yes.
That's a social problem. That's not just an agricultural problem.
It's true.
It's a social problem. You can solve it by growing vertically.
Wow. I am so inspired. Seriously, I'm so inspired.
Well,
The fact that, see, this is one of the things about leadership. Leadership is not about talking, it's about doing.
Well,
When you do, and others see, it's an inspiration. You're leading by example, and that is very powerful.
I think that's one of the reasons why, both, my idea to do this and my ministry agreeing to help us do it, because it was a bit of an investment. But again, it's a big plot of land and it's a big building, and it's a lot more than it needs to be for a small scale farmer or an individual. But one of the reasons why we're making this investment is precisely that, to be an example, to show people that what's feasible and what can be achieved.
Great. So what lessons have you learned from it so far?
That it can be done.
Great.
Isn't that the best lesson of all?
It is. It is that it can be.
It's achievable, and it's achievable for almost anyone.
And you don't need the government
No.
saying to do all
No,
this. You
no.
as an individual,
Exactly.
you can actually
Exactly.
do it in your own home.
And you know what? When we were going back before to resetting our macro relationship,
Yes.
that's actually the same thing at the individual level. You don't need the government
You don't need the government
to help you with everything.
Wow.
Just like you don't need us to help you with everything.
It's true.
You don't need the government to help you with everything.
It's true.
You need to be responsible for yourself.
And be proactive as well.
Proactive, productive, and don't just sit on your hands and wait for someone to come and help.
Amazing. I am so inspired. People, you have to go and do it.